What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and today is one of those days you need to be very careful in Dream Realm, because it's one of those situations where the top of the leaderboard is actually making it to the next difficulty, and if you use their team, you're not going to do as good as you really should. So today we are on the Lone Gaze. You can see right here we have made it to hell. However, if you take a look at formations, simply copy and paste what the top teams are doing, you're not going to get the best results, because you got to realize most people are still going to be in the previous difficulty. They're still going to be going up against the Lone Gaze here. And if you go ahead and use the new Thoran team, that's going to cause you guys to not get the progression you need. I threw in my team immediately just to see what it could do, since I saw it was a previous difficulty. If you put Thoran in the team, you're not going to have enough damage to make it to the next tier, which of course is Hell mode. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you're looking at some of these more oriented teams. One thing I've noticed is a lot of people have already replaced Lenya, yeah, the really strong hero, with Sinbad in this team, and Sinbad performs extremely well. Actually, oh god, I don't think I can actually show you mine now. Hold on. I just did a random team once I got into the next difficulty, just so I could put some nonsense on the leaderboard like some people do. Like this team, Mickey's team, nonsense. Barry Gaming team, complete nonsense. We're gonna go in and use an actual team, and as you guys can see, Sinbad is taking over, and luckily we did decide to build Sinbad on this account because he is paying dividends now and is quickly turning into a very strong hero. Now most everybody is building him to plus 15. That is because you get the increased guard damage taken by an extra 15%. That is really big. The only thing I don't have is of course the epic version of the charms, but it doesn't really matter on this one because I don't think it really happens that often. He might drop below 35% to get some extra haste, but I don't know if that is like really necessary. What I do know is that the current team we're using is not the one we're going to be using in this video, because again, I was just throwing some nonsense on here to show up. So what is the team you want to run? Well, if you're trying to push to Hell mode, there's going to be a team you're going to want to use that is very important. First part, you are either going to be using Lenya or you're going to be using Sinbad in this team. Either way, that is going to be part of the most important combo. You're going to want to run Mikola. If for some reason you don't have Mikola, running a Smokey and Mirky can be just as good, because that was like the original Lone Gaze type team, but she is the better option nowadays. Beyond that, we are going to throw Coco in for the shielding there, and we might as well give her Mikola the buffs we're getting right here, extra energy on hit and some damage reduction, which is cool. And finally, if you're trying to get to Hell mode, the best option here is a Kruger. If you have Mythic Plus, throw him off to the side. He'll get that little bit of extra shield and life drain when no allies are nearby, all that fun stuff. So this is kind of like the go-to team if you're trying to get to Hell. However, once you get to Hell, the team changes up just a little bit. You're actually going to want to throw Thoran into this team, and instead of swapping the Sinbad, you're going to want to swap the Mikola to keep her alive. You're also going to have the damage reduction here on Sinbad, and you're going to be running the Tide Call spell. So let's see what our damage actually looks like compared to everybody else on our server. You can see here the Lone Gaze hits extremely hard, so having a tanky hero like Thoran taking some of those first hits, very important. And beyond that, having the healing onto the Mikola, very important too. You can see here this is going to be a very quick battle. I feel like we might have gotten to this difficulty just a little bit too quickly. We already lost the Reiner very early on. We are somehow staying alive, kind of. We're getting a decent chunk of damage still, and Sinbad somehow stayed alive right there, even though he's getting his butt kicked. And there we go, Mikola, the last to go down. So about 16%, not all that bad. Pretty solid. We're gonna try to mess around with some other heroes. That does put us in the top 3, and you can see right there how powerful he is. So that is really awesome. The only other thing I could consider doing here is, instead of Thoran, using some other support hero that can help keep our team alive. However, there are not a ton of them that are gonna also cover the battlefield. I was thinking about running Shakir, but again, if we run someone like a Shakir in this situation, the Reiner is going to be probably too far back to get into his aura, and you can see right here, Shakir just gets absolutely demolished. So the Thoran is literally playing the role of soaking damage, because the lone gaze is doing so much damage in hell. We are not prepared for it. So you have to kind of figure out, is there another hero that we might be able to throw in that does make this work? We can try running maybe a Freyesto instead, but again, you can see the amount of damage this lone gaze does is just a ridiculous amount, and you just simply can't keep your team alive in this situation. And if you can't keep your team alive instantly, that's where you're going to run into some issues. Now, I've also wanted to try something else. I want to try throwing a Talene in here to see what that looks like. If we put Talene at the front, yes, she might die immediately here, but the problem is, once one hero dies on the battlefield, lone gaze starts going a little bit crazier. Now, we still have the main part of this team alive. We did lose the Sinbad, sadly, but I don't think this is going to be the way to go with this type of team, especially with the Talene being so vulnerable here. I'm kind of wondering if we can make a Talene swap with Thoran and such work, because that would actually be really, really awesome. Let's try a couple different things, because as we kind of see, Thoran is like a must-have in this squad to keep it going. So what happens if we swap the Talene and we also throw in the Thoran, but we'll link up the Thoran to the Reinier, maybe that, or maybe link him up to the Mikla to keep her alive. Let's see how this turns out. Nope. Nope. The Talene is going to be way too squishy in this situation. It's not going to let us stay alive for long enough, and we need that tankiness. So it does look like the Thoran squad is the must-have here, surprisingly enough. We don't use him very often anymore, but you can see literally the one and only way we're getting to that high percentage is through that. And also, I think the main reason why we're seeing Sinbad instead of Lenya is the fact that he's also reducing the attack of the boss, which is really big on keeping all these heroes alive. I don't think we're going to see any other team in the top here. We got our score right here, which is pretty far behind some of the big whales out there. This squad, it might take a little bit of RNG here, but it does seem like this is the way to go. Pushing everything over to the corner on this setup maybe nets us a little bit better of a result here. But you can see Thoran right there. He did die. He does come back, and I don't know if Reinier survives this first wolf pack. Close. Close. Oh my gosh, he actually survived the first wolf pack. That might be really good for our score then. Maybe just the placement of heroes switches things up just a little bit to make things very optimal for our overall damage, but it does seem like Thoran is the must-have for this one right here. There we go. Reinier and Thoran both go down this time. Not what we want to see, but it does end up with a better score, and maybe the shifting everything over to the left there just gives us a little bit of extra survivability. Mikla and Coco are still going. They're not going to add much damage to it, but we're a full percentage point essentially higher, almost 2 than our previous run, and that still keeps us in 3rd place. And yeah, not too bad. We will share this and put it onto leaderboard for others to use. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thoran is the must-have in this situation. You gotta have a Thoran to make this strategy work once you get to hell. Remember, if you're in the previous version, don't look at any of those teams. Those are not correct. You want to go with the old Kruger strategy. It just seems to be much better. And hey, even using the new sword might be the play here. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.